showing, right? One is organizer and another one is me, which is a presenter role. I think hope everyone is able to see the screen. Okay, anyway, next time onwards, we can just take care of these issues as it is a first meeting, right? So, and Javed, are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, Venkat.
Okay, perfect, guys. Okay, so first of all, I would like to show you the training contents because that was not discussed. And one thing is, I heard that only couple of guys knows about the C# coding, right? Respected to the Windows Azure. Just wanted to know, is Hari, you have already have knowledge on the C# by any chance?
No, not much.
No, Kalyan or Kiran, Vamshi?
No.
No, I don't have any idea on
Okay,
C#.
Okay, so we need we will be having a couple of sessions on the C# programming. That's an add-on. It's an extra one. So after we discussed about all the Azure related portal and etc. Right? Just a minute. Okay. I'll show you the topics. First of all, what and all we are going to cover in the Azure Cloud. So we will be going to have a detailed cloud computing introduction, and we'll be verifying and validating what are the really IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, and the different type of clouds. And we'll be going to validate and see how we can create the different web apps and the different logic apps and the API apps. So those comes under the app services bucket. And there is a concept of storage. So we are going to create the storage account and how can we leverage the storage account, and what are the different tools that can be used with the storage account. So there are out-of-box tools given by Microsoft, and there are the tools, third-party tools. So we are going to detailedly discuss about what are the things that we are going to discuss. And one more thing, so there is a concept of cloud services. So that is also we are going to discuss what is the web role, worker role, how can we create it, how can we manage it. So that is important perspective. And there is one more activity called service bus. So this is an integration layer. So we call it as a iPaaS platform. So integration platform as a service. So that is also we are going to discuss, and what are the different queues, topics, and event hubs which are available. Okay. So and we are going to discuss about two models, classic model and the ARM model. So that is the resource model for creating the virtual machine, storage account, and etc. And Redis cache, caching service. We are going to discuss about the Redis cache service as well, and how caching can be created, and how caching access keys can be taken, and how that can be used, and how that can be handed over to the application development team. So those we are going to discuss, and the most important components like Azure Active Directory. So how can we create the users, and how can we create the applications in the Active Directory integration. So those we are going to see. And the SQL database, document DB database. So these are the relational databases and the NoSQL databases. So document DB comes under the NoSQL. So these two we are going to cover, how can we really create the database and how can we connect it to the database, and Azure Site Recovery and applications. So whatever the topics that I am going to discuss in the month, right? So in the next weeks. So is everything is something like um, related to the configuration and related to the navigation and how to set up the properties. Okay. So now I am going to touch upon different components. So the event hubs, Azure CDN, it's a content delivery network, and there is one more concept called API management. ML Studio is an optional because that relates to the Hadoop data system. So no, we only touch very high level. Okay, and this is not required. So anyway, we are going to touch upon the different tools and all. Okay, let me come back and tell you the okay. So shall I start from the cloud computing intro, because some of the people has joined again, because some concepts I covered on the demo. So would that be fine?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So anyway, it will be a refresh for the people who are already taken the demo, right? So okay. See, first of all, we would like to walk through really what is a cloud. See, what is the need of cloud, in the market. So why cloud has been introduced or invented, or why it became such a popular, since all the industry was there, from the so long, and from the decades, and in the application, the projects are running and the services are running, and but still why the people are opting for the cloud. Okay, guys, at any point of time, if you feel if you have any doubt, please stop me and ask the doubt. Okay, if I am middle of something, anyway I can tell that. Let's park the questions at the end of the session, and we can give some time for the sessions, and let's discuss about the questions, and I'll answer for your questions. Fine, perfect. Okay, so the cloud computing, right? So first of all, the need of cloud is, see, it came into the market by providing a services of hardware. So they were saying that, let's say Microsoft or Amazon, so the main providers in the cloud, still they are in the rank 1, rank 2, or one is the Amazon cloud, so that we are calling it as a AWS, Amazon Web Services, and the second one is the Microsoft Azure, so that is the cloud provider from Microsoft. And so these are the top two vendors which they are providing the ultimate services on the cloud. Okay, so what is cloud that we have to see now? So initially, the history of the cloud is, so initially the companies were there, we know administration teams, IT infrastructure teams, and they have their own software inventory, software licensing, and they have their own building on premise. They have their own hardware patching, and so they used to manage everything on their own. But now what happens is, now so they cannot use the effective utilization of the hardware all the time. So sometimes they will buy the such a huge hardware, and definitely they might not be effectively using the hardware, but they have invested so much, and their business can go down, because their application, they are expecting maybe a 10 lakh hits for their application, and then they made ready of the hardware, but the application is not popular. So at that time what happened? So the hardware will go in vain. So that is one way. So they are not effectively utilizing the hardware, and there are, and the software also. So if they purchase any hardware, software licensing, right? So operating systems and any tools, or any application softwares like SQL Server, Oracle, or Visual Studio, or an Eclipse. So for their development teams, so they were procuring all those things, but they can procure one time, but if they want it for a month or for a 2 months, that is not possible. But though their application development time is 2 months, but they have to have a full-fledged license. So these are the costing mechanisms. So ultimately they are managing the high cost, so that they are able to resolve by having the integration with one of the cloud providers. So that can be an Amazon or that can be a Microsoft. So these providers, right, so they are able to provide the infrastructure as a services in the form of renting or leasing the hardware. So they say that you just create your data and create your virtual machines in our Microsoft data center, and we will charge based on the usage that you made it on my hardware. Let's say you have procured 100 virtual machines on my data center, which means on my subscription or on my data center. So if you turn on that 100 virtual machines for 1 hour, I'll charge for only 1 hour. If you turn on for 100 hours, I'll charge for 100 hours. Because if you see the production machines has to be run all the way, because we cannot compromise on production systems should be for only 4 hours or only for 8 hours, not like that. But whereas the development virtual machines or the testing virtual machines, you can make it on the official working hours. So if it is in India 9 to 6, or if it is in the US 8 to 5 their timing. So based on the times, you can switch on the virtual machine which is related to the development, and later you can stop the virtual machine, so that the billing also will be applied for that 8 hours only, right? Okay. So and also see there are some more additional benefits that we can see that. So and also some companies, when they are it's something like a companies, the startups. So that startups, obviously they cannot afford much money. They wanted to try into the market with a mobile app or with a data analytics or with some kind of a cloud technology they wanted to come with, but ultimately they cannot set up the infrastructure. So at that times, most likely the beneficiaries for the startup companies are a small based and medium economy based companies. So they can opt for the one of the cloud provider, and they can leverage it, and then they can verify whether their app will be success or failure in the market. So based on that, their sustenance in the market will be decided in the market. So that's how it will be. So ultimately, so any service which we are taking it from the Microsoft or Amazon services, so those services, one of the service that I discussed about is the IaaS, which is the infrastructure as a service, which is purely talks about the hardware, and the hardware will be given it to us. So in the form of virtually only. See, they say that, so this is the subscription that I am giving it to you. Let's say, hey, you are a company. So your company is a Conteso, and I am the Microsoft representative, and I have given the subscription. And so I will give you I will give one portal. So from that portal, you start creating your virtual machines, and you start creating your storage services, and those services will be created on our data center, and then you can access it from your company or an organization. And what and all really you can do that. So you can create your applications, you can create your services, you can create your web applications from your development team, and you can publish or host those web applications and blogs, and any kind of audio, video, recording files, SharePoint documents. So everything you can store it on that, and then you can store your APIs as well. So APIs are some kind of a services where let's say Google Maps, right? Google Map is one of the service. So if you see in the programming, you can integrate your Google Maps to your program and say that you can find the distance between the source and the destination by hitting the Google Map APIs. So that kind of APIs you also can generate it, like Bing APIs are also there. So you can generate your API and publish it into the Microsoft Azure as an API management service, and they will say how many number of hits happen and what is the progress of your API, and is your API always giving the positive response, or is your API is giving the failing response, or is your API automatically scaling when the load is high? So all those things will be verified, in the form of API management service. Just a minute, guys.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello. Just give me a minute. I got a call. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Just 1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I am back. Okay. And when you see, helps to integrate different platforms. As I said, there is a service bus is there. So where we can create the different type of queues and different type of queue topics in the service bus, and also that can be a bridge or a connector between the two different systems. Like, let's say SAP can just publish some of the messages to the service bus using the connector, and my .NET application can or my .NET web application or a service can receive the messages where SAP. See, in our companies, right? So you might be seeing an application. So in the corporate internal intranet portals. So when you update your project manager name, it will say that the data is uploaded in SAP and it will take 24 hours. So because the application that you are using is a front-end application, it can be a Java or a .NET application, and there is another application called SAP application. So you are keeping the updated details about the employee into one of the messaging service. So that can be a connector, and once the messages has, and the data which you have posted to the messages, and that data will be automatically updated in the SAP system, and again they will send out an SMS that the data got uploaded successfully in SAP. So that is a integration. So any two systems, if they wanted to talk, they can talk in the form of messaging. So the BizTech server, so this is one of the popular messaging service. Does anyone have heard about the BizTech server by any chance? Okay, no one, right? Because I don't hear any voice. Okay. So now we can see the different benefits and the different reasons of what is the need of cloud computing. So one, cost I told, because you no need to set up anything. So at any point of time, you can just you can just close your company also if your business is not there, right? See, you can only pay as you go model. So these are the terminologies: pay on demand, pay as you go. So what really these terminologies is? So based on the usage, you pay the cost to the Microsoft. Let's say whatever the usage in hours, so for that hours only you pay the amount, so that the invoice will be generated by the Microsoft for your subscription, and only that amount you can pay to the Microsoft. So that's how it will be. And the expenses not only for the software, not only for the hardware, virtual machines, even you can procure the software as well. See, generally, if you have taken any laptop, by default, we are getting Windows 10 as an operating system, and maybe they will give it for 1 year. After that, what we will do, we will take the license as an additional cost, and then we will run our laptop. So that's what we will do, because here you invested for your laptop hardware, and also you invested for the software. A similar way. So when you are taking the virtual machine again, so you have a different flavors of virtual machines. Like I want a virtual machines with SQL Server is installed. Yes, you can do that. I want a virtual machine with SharePoint is installed. That is also possible. Or you can take a plain virtual machine and just you can use the existing licenses also into the hardware. So that is also possible. So it is having a multiple options. So we will be going to discuss on the virtual machines topic. So what are the different type of templates are provided, and how can we really create the different type of virtual machines, and etc. Okay, and the speed. So it definitely gives a high performance speed. The reason is, so Microsoft, they are connecting their data centers in such a way that so always they are connected, and always they are having a high compute machines, like in high speed RAM, and high core processors that they are joining in the data center, so that everyone, whoever using their hardware as in the form of virtual machines, they definitely feel high speed. So that is the guarantee and SLA that they are making sure for their customers, right? And the global scale. So since it is a Microsoft, they are having data centers across the world. So not only in the US region, or not only in the Australia, Asia Pacific, even India also, they started the data center in the last year. So in South India, Central India, and these are the two locations that they have started. So that is what I'm saying. So and also you no need to be always worried about the disaster recovery. So all your PaaS services, platform as a service services, will be spreaded across globally, and when something goes wrong to your primary data center, but still your data is available in the secondary data center. So that's how you can you can be no need to be worried about the disaster recovery plan and business continuity plan. So these kind of issues has been addressed when they are scaling their application, when they are scaling their hardware in the globally, and always the multiple copies will get synchronized from the primary copy. Okay, see, and you don't need to be much worried about the software patching, setting up the hardware. Let's say you have a hardware of 16 core and 250 and maybe 128 GB RAM, and now again you wanted to upgrade it to 256 GB RAM. So what we will do, so we will purchase one more 128 GB RAM, and our hardware team or IT admin team will attach it, and then they will try to increase the speed. So those kind of hardware setup, or you wanted to increase the another extra tape, maybe a 100 TB hard disk to the existing server. So those kind of hardware setup and all, you no need to be worried. So all the IT consuming activities will be taken care by the and managing by the Microsoft. And the software patching, so we always be worrying about our antivirus and our any softwares like SQL Server or Visual Studio or whatever it is, so, and the operating system patches. So everything we will be managing on our own, right? So because see, when the company and when hardware is ours, so obviously we will be worrying about lot of aspects. But when it comes to the Microsoft, they will be taking care of all these headache, and ultimately they say that you concentrate on your productive activity, which is your application development and your business, and rest all the infrastructure issues, antivirus updates, and rebooting of the virtual machines, and when we are rebooting, we will make sure that the other virtual machine which is there, so that will be up and running, and your business will not go down. So all those things, they will be giving a SLA to us. So almost all the minimum SLA that they are providing is 99.5 for almost all the services, and for some of the services the SLA is 99.9. So the SLA means service level agreement. So they say that 99.9% of the time my service will be available for your people. But see, sometimes it will be available 100% also, but just to they cannot make 100%. If they make 100% and by any chance if something goes wrong, so again the companies or Microsoft customers, they can start attacking on the Microsoft. So you are given 100%, but I got 1 hour downtime for the some of the service called app service, but due to this I lost this much of business. So which is the agreement which you made, which is something like quite confusing for me. So that's the reason they say that 99.9 is the max, and as per my experience, even it is achieved the 100% also, right? So for performance, and as I said, you can always they see in our server technology, right? So even our hardwares also, we have the generations in the hardware. So whenever the new generation in the hardware comes up, automatically Microsoft will upgrade to the new generation hardwares, and then such that so we as a customers, we feel high computing and high performance with respect to the performance. Okay, and the reliability, and always you can set up the whether that can be a database or that can be an application. So you can set up the data backup plans, and whatever is the data that you are taking the backup, so that will be stored in your storage, and that storage anyone cannot access it immediately easily. So they will give some of the access keys. So those access keys only primarily is used for accessing the our storage. So which means no anonymous access will be given in the similar way. And whenever I was saying about always primary secondary, so what really the primary secondary is, whenever you create a service, automatically the service will created in the primary data center. Let's say I am staying in a US. I created one application, and that application is created in the US region. Let's say East US is one of the region which I have selected in the Azure portal. Okay, now so Microsoft will maintain the 2 more copies respected to the my app service. Let's say in East US region my data center is go down, but still my app service will be up and running. Automatically there is a traffic manager will be running on top of these 3 PaaS services, and the other 2 services which will be sitting in, one can be in the APAC region, Asia Pacific region in the Singapore data center, or one can be in the Australia region. So that's how but they won't give the details of they say that automatically route your request to the secondary data center, and then they say that your application will never be go down. When you say www.somexyz.com, it can go to primary or it can go to secondary. That is a Microsoft headache, but ultimately when you say www.xyz.com, you'll get a response, but which is the your application will be hit. Okay, guys, any questions on the cloud computing? What is the cloud, and what are the different benefits that we are going to get using the cloud computing? Any questions? Are you not getting it what I am saying, or am I speed? Because for a couple of sessions, just we wanted to understand the pulse of. I wanted to understand your pulse, and you can just try to understand me, and then later sessions will be in a good shape. Okay, so no issues, right?
Yeah, that's good, Venkat. One question I have is on productivity part. Like you said, you don't have to manage the patches of the underlying servers, right? Let's
Correct.
assume Microsoft has released some updates, and as you own the virtual machine, you don't have to get that update patched. That's
Correct.
what you
Correct.
meant. Um,
That's true.
but then, wouldn't that interfere with our regular operations if it's a critical update or something which needs a
Yes.
reboot?
Yes, that's what. See, let's say if a critical reboot happen, obviously it is a mandate that we have to reboot the with virtual machine. So at that time, our service will be down. Whatever the services which we have hosted on that virtual machine. So is that your question?
Yeah, right. That's right.
Okay. Yeah. So at that time, what we can do is, so there is a concept of availability set, and there is a concept of fault domain and update domain. Okay. What they will do is, so if you are having a dependency of, if you want the high availability of the virtual machine, you need to join one more virtual machine with that VM first VM. So which means VM and VM2 will be in one availability set, and we will be setting up the FD and UDs, which are the fault domain and update domain. So just you can park this FD and UD later. So I'll be going to discuss. Only thing is you will be joining two VMs in a single set, and if one, Microsoft always makes sure that one only will go for a critical update. Once that is rebooted, so again it will go to second VM, and again that critical update they will run it. So at that time, if VM1 is down, so automatically your request will be routed to VM2, and if VM2 is down, at that time VM1 will be active. It's a primary and secondary, active passive. Got it right?
Yeah, that part I understand. But when you say active passive, while configuring itself, we'll have to decide that we'll be having two servers running in active and standby.
Yes, while creating the VM itself, you need to select, I wanted to go for a availability set with two fault domains and two update domains. The reason is, so if you select more than two update domains, so they will be internally they will say that this VM is in one domain and VM2 is in another domain. So at that time, so when the updates happening based on the time, so VM1 update will happen at some time, and VM2 will happen at different time. And also they make sure that if one is running, then only they can stop the other, and they can start updating the softwares or patching into the VM. And in the similar way, fault domain. So let's say if everything is, if the two VMs, if you are keeping it in the same rack, so what happens if power issues gone to the power issues happen to the rack, then two VMs will be going down due to the lack of power. So that also they take care, and the two virtual machines will be sitting in different power racks. When one goes down, also other power will be actively apparent. So these are the different testings that they have already made it, and then they are giving the SLA.
And while
Yeah.
owning these active and standby machines, would we be charged for the standby machine, or we would only be charged only for
No.
the active machine?
No, it is chargeable, because though the secondary is used whenever the primary is failed,
Hmm.
but the resources you already procured from the Microsoft, you already running the second virtual machine also. You don't know when VM1 will go down, right? So that's the reason. So for having the high availability, people are maintaining the minimum is two virtual machines. See, this is as similar as even in our on-premise Javed.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
That's right. See, the reason is, if you really wanted your high business and high availability, you need to spend. But there is another concept, that is the PaaS services. So the same application, instead of you hosting it in the virtual machine, you host it as a platform as a service. That is the app service. Then no virtual machine, nothing. So, and you will not be charged such a high like two virtual machine cost and two licensing cost, nothing. So that is it's a highly cost effective and highly scalable opportunity. So, but again, it is limiting to your application. See, if your application is fit into the Azure app service, the recommendation is you consider the app service, because see, you have a requirement of one web application, maybe a Java developers or .NET developers given, and your intention is you need to give a sufficient platform for them to host their application. So if you have that kind of a requirement, so either you can take 2 VMs and then say that into the 2 VMs you set up your application. So that is one alternative. Or you can create a app service and then you say that you can integrate your application to this app service. So that is another alternative. You can get almost around 70 to 80% of cost savings when you opt for the PaaS service. So that's how the Microsoft is saying. So there is a costing calculator is there, so that we are calling it as a TCO calculator, total cost optimization. So in one class we can discuss about when you go for a VM or when you go for a PaaS services, what is the savings that you are ultimately getting it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jared. Okay. So the services. So now we only touched upon infrastructure as a service that Microsoft has, because they have the data centers across the globe, and then they can procure the latest generation of hardwares, and all are horizontally integrated or connected, and whenever from the subscription, whenever the moment you log in, and it says that you can always procure the virtual machines on your own, and they will give the templates, as I said, 16 GB RAM you want, or 32 GB, or 256 GB RAM. I think I have seen 256 or 512 GB RAM also recently they introduced into the virtual machine. But again, it has the limitations, few limitations. If you are saying that I want maybe 2 TB of RAM I want, then so these are the different special cases, because some of the very large enterprise customers, right? So they say that even though Microsoft has given a restriction of 512 GB RAM is the maximum RAM, maximum virtual machine RAM that you can take it, that is the high compute machine respected to the Microsoft. But again, they say that I want a 1 TB RAM virtual machine, I want it. I was using your Azure subscription from probably from couple of years, so can you provide it? So those will be taken as a special cases. And so how really happens is Microsoft will have a support. We will be subscribing to the support plan. So there is a premium support plan is there. So premier support we used to call it as. And so if that is possible, so they can enable some of the options like 1 TB RAM template also they can enable it. If that is not possible, so they can say that that is not allowed into the system due to the technical issue. So they will be responding for your ticket or for your incident which you have raised it. Okay. So IaaS, so that is the most basic category of the cloud computing service. So this is a pay as you go basis, and most likely what and all it will come is your virtual machines, your storage account, and your operating system and the networks. And you have different type of connectivities, point to site, site to site connectivity, and etc. So where you can connect from on-premise to the cloud and cloud to the on-premise. Always cloud means it is there in the Microsoft environment, and when I say on-premise means it is there in your company environment, which is in the organization. Okay, guys, you are getting it right, the terminology. Other guys, but
Is
yeah, so no, okay, so it is not, see in AWS we have the EC2. EC2 is the virtual machines, right? Instances we are calling it for the name called virtual machines, but when I say on-premise, so it is under the firewall, so which is in our company. So because when I say on-premise environment, that is your company environment, your company hardware, company data center, not the Microsoft one. Got it right?
okay, got it.
Yeah, platform as a service. So this is the most useful by the Amazon and Microsoft became very popular because of the PaaS and SaaS, and there is one more service called iPaaS. So because of these three services, apart from the hardware, the Microsoft and Amazon, they are in the market in the first, second positions, because IaaS, which is hardware, so many organizations like Cloud Foundry, IBM, Oracle Cloud, there are so many companies which are offering the infrastructure services, but the ultimate platform services are being provided by the Microsoft and the Amazon services, and also people who are in the Microsoft stack, because when they start developing their applications respected to the SharePoint applications or a .NET applications or the BizTech server applications, so they mostly recommending the cloud platform, which is the Microsoft Azure. But when the people who uses the Eclipse, Java applications and the Android applications, so that kind of stack, if they are falling in, so they most likely going for the Amazon services. But it is not that they should not use the Microsoft platform, but it is compatible for each and every. Even you can host your Java applications, you can host your Android applications, iPhone applications, Windows applications, everything will be done, and you can configure the notifications to the services. So everything can be considered respected to this. 10-15 minutes. 1 minute. So the platform as a service, right? So this is one of the service. So the thing is, see, ultimately with hardware we can only go with the patching, installations, operating system. So if you go to one more layer, that is the application layer, so the developers will come into the picture. So they start developing the applications, and they need a platform to host their applications, and also they need different type of services to be integrated for their application to be running. And if you see, they want the database for storing their data. They want maybe an Active Directory for storing their users. They want maybe a storage for storing any log files or and any kind of the files which it is been uploading from the end user perspective. Let's say some user is uploading a video or an image, so we have to store somewhere. So where we can store it? So we have a storage as a service. Instead of the virtual machine, you can opt for the storage. That is a cheaper cost. And so how really your application will be available for the public? So you have a PaaS service called, that is an app service, so where you can publish your application and then you can make it available for the public. So ultimately, so apart from the hardware stuff, rest all the services, there are many services which has been introduced in the Azure, like what I have shown in the training contents, the app services and the storage and the Redis cache and the Active Directory and SQL database as a service, document DB as a service. So all these comes under the category of PaaS services, platform as a service. So any service which is used for hosting your applications, and you can after you publish your application, you can do a performance test with a load of I can keep 100 users load for a 5 minute, and if what is my response time, average response time I am getting it, and you can configure some of the alerts like, so if the average response time of your application is taking more than 2 seconds, give an alert or an email to me, and so that I can take care of why really that is happening, and do I need to increase my do I need to scale up my resources to make it the response time below 1 second? Because see, when you hit any application, if the application is loading for a more than 2 seconds or a more than 5 seconds, you definitely feel worried. The reason is you are feeling that the application is not performing well and it is a slow application. So those are, but to handle those kind of scenarios, you can just set up the alerts, application insights. So all these are different kind of platform services which helps you to make your application healthy and make your application response time as early as possible, as soon as possible. And the software as a service, so this is something like when you are making your application after it is hosted with the help of platform services and the infrastructure services. Again, when you wanted to make this as a multi-tenant model or this software as a service for your customers, because now forget about Microsoft is a customer, so they have given the platform and they have given the infrastructure, their job is done. Now you are the company and you created your application, let's say a timesheet application or a leave management application you have created, and then say that this is a product and this can be used for 100 companies. That 100 companies are your customers, right? So you can host your application and you can manage your 100 company employees database and 100 companies users. You can maintain it, and that's how you can manage and maintain their data in the form of SaaS model. So the reason is, see, why are we calling it as a SaaS is any software which you have hosted onto the Azure and you are making that software as a service for your customers, we are treating that category as a software as a service. And so in the similar way, you also procuring the software from Microsoft and you are telling your customers that you no need to be worried. Ultimately, you access this browser at any point of time. If any new user, if you wanted to access, you can register and that user will be stored in the Active Directory. So you will be giving instructions. So your customers no need to be maintain any kind of a software upgrades patching. So ultimately, Microsoft is taking care and your company is taking care for your customers. So this is the model of software as a service. Okay, and the type of clouds. So whatever the cloud that we discussed, the most likely the 80% of the cloud operations that we perform on the public cloud only. So public cloud, it's completely owned by the Microsoft or an Amazon. So whatever the service provider that we consider, and with the public, so all hardware, software licensing, everything will be maintained, infrastructure will be maintained, and the PaaS services and the disaster recovery, and they will be making sure that syncing of the data from primary to secondary. So everything will be taken care by the Microsoft in the public cloud perspective. So you only do your actual job of work, which is the implementation, and you set up the proper resources, Azure resources to your development teams and the testing teams, and you can create the environments in the public cloud. That's it. Your applications will come to the go live. Right. So the private cloud is pretty much like your on-premise environment. So they say that you have already procured, you have the a large with VMware or any kind of a software, which is maintained with the virtual machines. But you cannot definitely will have the luxury of using the different PaaS services, as I said, the databases and the Redis cache or whatever it is, the app services, hosting mechanisms. So at that time, you can approach Microsoft and say that because of my company business, since ours is a healthcare, patient data will be there, or I am a banking company, and then I cannot give my data to the public cloud due to the restrictions or the certifications that we made. So at that time, you can say that this is something like they'll approach Microsoft and say that Microsoft team, you come to us and set up the platform and integrate your platform, which means integrate your platform portal to my hardware data center. So which means When you create a virtual machines, instead of the VM is created in your Microsoft data center, it should be created in my company data center. So which means in my company on-premise network, so that we will not have any anonymous access issues. You can maintain your security and everything. So only thing is they will give an access to the services, but those access of the services you can do it from the portal. So from the front end side, the same portal only will be given. Only thing is whatever the services which you are creating, procuring, those will be created in your company data center, in your company hardware instead of the Microsoft hardware. That is the only difference, private cloud. And there is one more stuff called hybrid cloud. Okay, and now Microsoft is coming up with a different type of private cloud as well. So that is something like, let's say you have an application, and you say that, you know, I want a dedicated hardware facility, but I do not have anything as of now. So if you are coming up that kind of a requirement, see, in service based companies we have the different ODCs, right? So they call it as in India offshore development centers. They keep one customer name, let's say Amazon. This is the Amazon ODC, and the second one is the Microsoft ODC and IBM ODC, like that they keep it. And inside that only the Amazon network will be allowed. The people who are working for Amazon client, they only can access. So something like, you know, restricted access they'll make it. So it is something like virtually it is a Amazon company. So you are, you know, sitting in any of the company. So that's how they made it. Microsoft also say that in this data center I will give some portion dedicated for your company. So where only the people, you know, who are assigned or dedicated for you, they only can access. So that is a different network altogether. So other network, you know, it cannot be integrated, or, you know, you cannot connect to that. So that's how, you know, they made the complete firewall boundary for that small portion, and then they can lease it. So that way it will be it is also a type of a private cloud, but only thing is the on-premise services will be only created, the services will be created only in that dedicated portion. So it will not be extended to much more. See, let's say you already taken some portion of the Microsoft data center, so that is your corporate ODC kind of thing, and you started creating the services. So at some point of time your resources may be completed. See, your hardware may be come to a closer state, maybe 90% also can complete. At that time again you need to extend it, like however you do it in the company, in the similar way you need to be maintained, but will be maintained by the Microsoft team, and will be having a dedicated portion of your data center. Okay, so that is a different type of private cloud offerings that, you know, recently they started. And the hybrid cloud is a combination of private and the public clouds. So when I say combination, see, if you say, some companies are saying that I am ready to host my applications to the public cloud, to the Azure, but I want my data to be sitting in my data center only. I do not want to expose my data to any of the virtual machine in the public. So what we do? So we have to establish a communication between the cloud to the on-premise, cloud to the company, Microsoft to the organization. So how you will do that? That is the hybrid model. So there are many options which are available for connecting from public cloud to the hybrid cloud. So when in the application terminology, we have a concept of hybrid connection manager. You can create a hybrid connection manager, and you can set up the connectivity from your company to Microsoft network and Microsoft to the company network. And there are different type of components called the site-to-site VPN, and so that's how, you know, you can start enabling the channel of communicating from Microsoft to your company network. Okay, so now we have some more portion. Okay, so okay, now I'll give the time for the questions. Do you have any questions, guys? So I hope you people understood, right? Really, what is a cloud? What are the different services which are offering in the cloud? like IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, iPaaS, and what are the different benefits of the cloud, and what are the various vendors which are there in the market or providers, I can say that, and how the companies, organizations are getting benefited, by leveraging the cloud computing as an option, and what kind of different services can be provided, like virtual machines, app services, storage, SQL Server, a database as a service, and Redis cache, as I said in the training contents. So those are various services, can be leveraged, and what are the different benefits that you are going to get, costing wise, productivity wise. So you are clear, right? Any questions on that upfront, or you have any other questions also? Probably you can speak for 5 to 10 minutes, next 5 to 10 minutes before we close the session.
Everything is fine, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so any other guys, like others? So at least you are able to understand it. That's what I wanted to hear from you people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything is
Venkat, it
clear.
was clear.
Okay, that is, see, that's what I'm looking for. So forget about, because questions always you get, when you read more and more, about it, and when you get habituated to the system, since we are at the early stages, right? But at least whatever I'm having in my mind, and when I'm expressing it to you people, so until if you are able to grasp it, then that is fine for now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think Vikrant also I told, right? Fine. So Vikrant, Vikyat, right? I'm sorry. Vikyat. So I have. So who is the point of contact from IQ Online? Is it Swati, Fareen, or anyone else? Because remaining people, anyway, I had a chance to talk with them. Okay. Anyway, no issues. I'll talk to them. No problem. Okay. And since today is a Saturday, for you people it's a Friday weekend, right? So we will have a class on. Is that fine? Monday morning. That is evening, Sunday evening,
Yeah,
or
that's
can we have it on your Monday morning?
either ways.
Yeah, because Sunday evening, anyway, you might be refreshing with your friends.
Yeah.
Okay, no issue, no issues. Let's have the comfortable and convenient timings. We'll not much worried about this. So we'll have it on my Tuesday morning, so which will be a Monday evening for you people. Okay. So anyway, I'll be informing to the Fareen, about the rest of the timings. Javed will discuss about the timings, and let's see, like, my availability and your availability. Can we do something, related to this?
Okay. Right now Javed is not here. He just went to Namaz.
Okay. And guys, I forgot to ask you. So you people all are from the same location by any chance?
I'm from Texas, and Javed also from Texas.
Okay. So
I'm from
are you all from the same
Texas.
organization?
No.
No. Okay. So look, okay, Javed and you are from the same location. That's what you said, right?
Yeah. Javed and
Okay.
my name is Kalyan.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Kalyan. Fine. No issues. Again, you'll be informed. You'll be informed by a mail. So good. Wrapping up this session. If you have any questions, so I'm going to give the my email ID going to soon. So you can feel free to ask any questions, and I'm happy to help you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Venkat.
Thank you.